This book will change how you see memory. It's by Dominic O'Brien, which is 8 times world memory champion. And I want to be the link between you and that book. With this skill, you can learn different language, you can remember phone numbers, you can remember faces, and anything you want, really. There is a formula to memorize something, and it goes like this: location, association, imagination. So location. Every time you learn something, you create new neural pathways. And like a computer, every time you store new information, it goes into a certain folder. And for you to find and retrieve that information, if it's a picture, a video, an application, you need to know on your computer that, okay, it's a picture, it's going to be in my pictures. It's a video, it's going to be on the folders in videos. If you store that video somewhere else, you either not going to ever find it, or you're going to spend so much time searching for it. So you need to store the things you want to learn in a specific folder. Then association. The more you learn, the more you can learn. We think that if I keep learning stuff, I'm gonna run out of space. No, the brain doesn't work like that. When you learn something, you create neural pathways. If I can associate something new I wanna learn and create this association with a neural pathway I already know, it means I created another neural pathway for me to use in the future as an association. What do I mean with association? Let's say the Italian word spicchio. What does spicchio mean? It means mirror in Italian. But spicchio to me, it means nothing. Spicchio, like it's just a word, it's just a sound, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. I need to create association. If I think of this, my mirror has a big mouth and it gives me a speech every time I go in front of it. So what I do there is this: I go somewhere I know, location, to my mirror in my room. Then I use imagination, which I'm gonna talk about in a bit. And I use association to associate the word spicchio, which doesn't make sense now. But spicchio, if I break down that new word, I can associate that word with speech. Spicchio, speech. So location, my mirror in the bedroom, the word spicchio in Italian, I associate that with speech, and then I use imagination to imagine my mirror giving me a speech. This is very bizarre, right? Imagine your mirror speak to you, but that's where imagination comes to play a role in the last piece of memory. So think about a kid. A kid can learn and memorize so many things. You're like, whoa, because imagination is a color of life. If we think everything intellectually, everything becomes black and white, right and wrong, good and bad. But if we add some imagination, everything becomes colorful. And whatever is bizarre, out of norm, our brain takes that information and stores it. When you travel and you see new things, why can you remember those places and experiences so vividly? Because it's out of norm, it's out of your daily life, it's something new. So we can use our imagination to do exactly the same thing. And with imagination, we can memorize things much faster and better. And that's where the fun comes with learning as well. Think about reading a book. It's all words and black and white, paper and ink. That's all it is. But if you use your imagination and you create pictures from those words, it comes to life. That's why we like all these fiction books. That's where creativity comes from. Imagination is important, not just in memory, but in life in general. It makes everything so much better. And that's a reason why kids can absorb information as well. So when you use location, then association, last piece is imagination. Make the image always bizarre, weird, out of normal. Use as much creativity as you can, because that's gonna make the things more memorable, even the most boring things. Some people are telling me, are you not bored to memorize a deck of cards? By the way, I do that because it's an exercise for my memory. Because if I can memorize a deck of cards, I can memorize anything I want. It has both symbols and numbers. But because I use my imagination, to others it might seem boring, but in my head, it's so exciting. It's so much fun. If I want to memorize these 10 words, I'm going to follow this process. I'm going to find a location that I'm very familiar with it. then I'm gonna create 10 parts in that location. It might be a street, it might be your house, it might be your school, it might be your workplace. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to be familiar with every part of that place. So I'm gonna use my house as an example. I need to find 10 spots inside my house that can store information. So I'm gonna store the first word in my bedroom, the second one in the guest room, the third one in the office, the fourth one in the bathroom, so on and so forth. Let's say you have the word wallet, pool, car, dolphin, hat, spoon, dog, a tree, teacup, and a tennis racket. Let's say we have these 10 words. What I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna start in my bedroom. And my bed, instead of a regular bed, is gonna be a wallet. A green leather wallet. I go to the office, I open the door, and what do I see? I see a pool with a dolphin in it. And I'm thinking, like, how did that happen? It's so weird. And that's exactly what we want, to make it weird. Then I'm going to the guest room. I open the door. I see a car in the guest room. Anyways, I ignore that. I go down the stairs and I can't pass through the stairs. You know why? There's a huge cowboy hat in the middle of the stairs. So I have to push the hat, struggle, and continue going down the stairs. I make it into the laundry room, and in the middle of it, I see this very rusty spoon. So I turn to the kitchen, and all I see is my dog cooking her own meals. Yeah, that's weird. I ignore that. Then to my living room, I see a huge oak tree coming out of my couch. Then I go to open the front door, and instead of a door, it's a teacup. And finally, I make it into a garden, only to see that instead of a tree that used to be there, now it's a tennis racket. A huge tennis racket in the same place that my tree was in. So we had location, which is the house. Then we use association with every part of the house. The bed became the wallet, so that's association. Then it's imagination. I mean, how does the bed becomes a wallet? And then basically you create a small story inside the house that goes in order. So you can memorize anything you want in order. Now take a break, relax a little bit, and tell me, do you remember all 10 words that I mentioned before? Test yourself, and I guarantee you, you're gonna remember all 10 of them, and you can memorize anything you want, even if it's 20 things, if it's objects, numbers. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what the information is, as long as you use location, association, imagination. Now you might say, will I remember those things after an hour, 2 hours a day? What if I want to remember something for a lifetime? You definitely can. You just have to do this. 1 hour after you learn something, you go back to it, you recall it again. Then do the same thing in the next day after 24 hours. Do the same thing after a week, and exactly the same thing after a month. Then you're gonna have the information for a lifetime. So please guys, get this book. It changed so many things in my life. It gives me so much confidence. I'm gonna put a link below, and I really hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? Did you know? Did you have different technique that people should know? And don't forget to like, subscribe for more useful content.